Greetings one and all to this abbreviated episode of the 757 at 6 on this Thursday night, the 13th day of January, the year 2022. I am Matthew Hatfield, delighted to be with you before we send it over to Chartway Arena for the call of Old Dominion Monarchs basketball, playing host to the Roadrunners Beep Beep of UTSA. The voice of the Monarchs, Ted Alexander, and the ODU Sports Hall of Famer and NBA champion Dave Torres will have the call coming up for you at 6:30 with the Toyota pregame show to get things underway. A lot to go over with you before that. You'll hear from Maury basketball coach Brandon Plummer from last weekend's Virginia Preps Basketball Classic. We'll also tell you some news in terms of a venue change for the inaugural Bob Dandridge MLK Holiday Basketball Challenge coming up on Monday. But let's start things off with the college basketball matchup, the ACC clash that took place on Wednesday night in Charlottesville. Not the prettiest of games, a grinder, if you will, between the Virginia Cavaliers and the Hokies of Virginia Tech. But UVA got it done to move to 10-6 overall, besting their in-state ACC rival Virginia Tech by a count of 54-52 in their Commonwealth clash on the hardwood. Look, Francisco Cafaro was the story in this one. A career night for Cafaro, personal bests of 16 points, 9 rebounds, nearly a double-double. And the Hokies got 2 looks at a potential game-winning three-point shot. The 7'1" junior from Argentina really was a major difference in this game, especially once Caden Shedrick picked up the 2 early fouls, a mini 6-0 flurry, if you will, and Kive Aluma had 22 points. He needed 20 shots to get there, so he did not completely dominate or obliterate the Cavaliers in the paint the way Armando Bacot did with a 2020 game last weekend for the Heels. Nor was it a great game on the other side for UVA's Jaden Gardner. He came in leading UVA in scoring at 15 points per game. Gardner was held to just 4 points on 2 of 10 shooting. So you wonder where these two teams are after this one. It was a nip-and-tuck battle, back and forth. Again, not the prettiest of games. Hard-nosed, defensive type of clash here. You figured maybe first to 60 would win this. They didn't even get to 60. And it ends up being UVA prevailing in this matchup, 54-52. Tech is now 0-4 in the ACC and searching for answers before it hosts Notre Dame this weekend. They simply have to get more production from their bench and get to the foul line more. Just 3 of 3 last night. Meanwhile, UVA plays host to Wake Forest on Saturday. Steve Forbes was the early, if you will, top running candidate for ACC Coach of the Year. I think that he's now been passed by Jim Larrañaga of Miami for that. But not an easy pushover game here. Wake has been pretty competitive. I like the Cavaliers' chances. And it's strange to look at the ACC standings and you see Miami at the top, 13-4 overall, 5-1 in the league. And then right behind them is Notre Dame at 10-5, 4-1 in the ACC. Not a whole lot of fanfare or talk about what Mike Brey and the Irish have done. Irish are winners of 6 in a row, 7-0 mark at home. But the old don't be surprised if a desperate Virginia Tech team trying to avoid dropping to 8-8 beats Notre Dame this weekend. I'll give you a little bold prediction there before we get to the NFL coming up this weekend with some bold predictions that we'll have for you. So there you have it, Virginia getting it done against Virginia Tech in the ACC clash. One more note on UVA away from the basketball side of things before we return to the round ball. Air Force defensive coordinator John Rudzinski has reportedly agreed to become the next defensive coordinator at Virginia. Saw that report first by Pete Thamel, who, by the way, is moving from Yahoo Sports to ESPN now, I see. And Rudzinski has produced some top-notch defenses in the last few years at Air Force with the Falcons. Number 3 in total defense in 2021, number 3 in scoring defense in 2020. So some of these position coach hires, coordinators, I like this one a lot here for UVA with John Rudzinski coming in from Air Force. I think he will do a fine job with that Virginia defense, which kind of has to regain its identity. They lost it the last couple of years under Bronco Mendenhall. Get back to some of their ways and being known as one of the better units in the ACC on the defensive side of the football. We'll take a look at the top 25 college hoops slate in just a moment, but want to highlight some of the local men's and women's programs here on the college basketball side of things in Hampton Roads. Old Dominion with its Samaritan's Feet game tonight against UTSA over at Chartway Arena, going out there and support head coach Jeff Jones and the men's basketball team in a cause that's close to their heart as they try to reach their goal of $5,000 going towards a shoe locker for Jaycox Elementary. Samaritan Feet, great thing to see that there. With that, we've seen Coach Jeff Jones coach before barefoot. You get to see that again here as it's an organization, Samaritan, that provides shoes to children who are impoverished. In addition to that, a game that's key to the Monarchs, they try to move to 2-0 in Conference USA play, so a chance to really get out in front here as the league race begins. His team had some struggles in the early portion of the season. We saw that in the out-of-conference slate, but hey, get to 2-0 in league action. You'll take that as you try to move things along here and get one of the better seeds for the Conference USA tournament. Only FAU in the East has a 1 win and no losses there in the column. Louisiana Tech's the only unblemished on the west side of CUSA, so chance to build some credit there in terms of the conference standings in the race there. On the women's side, first matchup tonight in 22 days. They've been on pause due to COVID, like a lot of programs across the land. And look, taking on UTSA before checking out Texas El Paso on Saturday. And this is a squad that was playing great before the break. 8 straight victories for Delisha Milton-Jones' team. Another one to get that winning mojo back here as they start the new year off here against the Roadrunners just a couple weeks into January. Speaking of COVID pauses, the Norfolk State women's program going to be on pause, it looks like, again. It was announced this afternoon that their games scheduled for Saturday at Howard and Monday at Maryland Eastern Shore have been postponed because of COVID protocols within their program. The MDES, the Maryland Eastern Shore game, has been rescheduled for Monday, February 7th. No date has been finalized for the Howard game. Now, the men's games at Howard and Maryland Eastern Shore are still on as scheduled. And speaking of the NSU men, got a great performance last night from the Lake Taylor alum Joe Bryant Jr. as he stepped up in a big way for them in their victory over Delaware State. Joe Bryant Jr. pours in 29 points on 5 of 7 shooting from behind the arc, 5 rebounds, 5 assists, and the Spartans win it comfortably over DSU 80-51. They're now 10-4 on the season, 1-0 in the MEAC. Coach Robert Jones's team has not lost at home, 5-0 at home. They did have some setbacks on the road in December, the one against Hampton, who they had beaten out there in that HBCU challenge hosted by Chris Paul. Pirates nipped them 58-57 on a remarkable shot at the buzzer. Wichita State nipped them 71-58 back in December, and New Mexico got them by 14. But hey, this is a program that certainly can win the MEAC and be NCAA tournament bound, so we'll keep a close eye on Norfolk State as they move things along in the MEAC. As you look at the top 25 men's college basketball slate tonight, chance for maybe one of the big boys to get knocked off. We've seen a couple of them. We mentioned in a last night's show about the Tuesday night results when Southern Cal got picked off, as well as the number 1 team in the land getting beat when Baylor went down against Texas Tech. Well, the Red Raiders are back in action. You take that team off a big win to lose the next time out. Well, the Red Raiders are favored by 7.5. Yes, at 12-3 on the year, the number 19 ranked team in the country. Don't be shocked if Oklahoma State goes in there in a game that's in action right now as we speak here in the Big 12. Also in action right now, number 16 Ohio State at number 13 Wisconsin. Badgers a slight favorite in that one. They've been playing really, really well behind Johnny Davis. Look out for E.J. Liddell, though, in the paint for the Buckeyes. That's a toss-up game. I give the slight edge to the Badgers of Wisconsin to take that one. One that really intrigues me is Oregon at UCLA. Bruins a trendy Final Four pick after what Mick Cronin's squad did a year ago, losing in that heartbreaker to Gonzaga. Johnny Juzang leading the way for them. Oregon's teams, though, if you look at the history of them under Dana Altman, even a little bit before that, they tend to get better as the year goes on, and that's a trap spot. I like the Bruins tonight, but 9.5 is too many points if you're looking at putting some shekels down in this game, as I like to call it. BYU, who has beaten Gonzaga before, they're playing really well, 14-3, one of the better unranked teams. Gonzaga at 12-2. I like the Bulldogs in this one in big. I think Drew Timme, Chet Holmgren, and the guys will get it done by a convincing margin. They're aware of what BYU is and what they can do. Other West Coast game, Southern Cal at home against Oregon State. Beavers are not going to be a match for the Trojans at 13-1. They'll bounce back in a big, big way. When you're undefeated like Southern Cal was and like Baylor was, you don't expect those teams to lose a couple of games in a row. So I think Southern Cal will be in great shape. And then one of my picks that I'm liking for the Final Four potentially, Arizona at 12-1, taking on Colorado, who's 11-3. Wildcats favored by 15.5. I think Arizona's going to get it done there. I think they're going to win big. Watch out for this Arizona team. Somewhat a better basketball. We mentioned it the other day on the show. It's on the western part of the country. You don't have as many East Coast powers, if you will, in the college hoops scene and side of things. One team in the Midwest that's in action tomorrow, it's a top 10 team that you got to watch out for is Purdue. I know Seth Greenberg mentioned that to Coach Ed Young a couple weeks ago when he filled in for me on the show. The Boilermakers at 13-2 host Nebraska tomorrow, while Illinois at 12-3 plays host to Michigan, who's really struggling in a top 25 matchup coming up on Friday night. So there you have it. As we transition from college hoops to the high school side of things, one of the questions going into every basketball season is who's the best team around here in Hampton Roads. We've sent so many players on to the next level. You see when you turn on the TV and watch some of these NBA games, a number of different players here from the 757. You watch the Dallas Mavericks, you see Dorian Finney-Smith. Certainly people pay attention to Luka Doncic, but we all remember Dorian Finney-Smith, as a two-time state player of the year with the IC Norcom Greyhounds in Portsmouth. You see the Brooklyn Nets now, and Cam Thomas as a rookie. He got his start here in the 757 at Oscar Smith High in Chesapeake. You see guys that play at the college level that have made an impact. Kent Bazemore comes to mind from Old Dominion. Kyle O'Quinn comes to mind from Norfolk State. So many others. Well, high school basketball in Hampton Roads is still alive and well despite some of the COVID issues, and the question has been circulating, who's the best team around? Is it Kings Fork? You heard last night from Rick Height, his Bulldogs undefeated, looking mighty strong. The Peninsula District has some candidates. Bethel's undefeated. Kickinton's very good behind Dewan DJ Campbell, the point guard who's headed to Western Carolina. Menchville's no slouch, nor is Woodside. Private school teams, certainly you pay attention to Cape Henry. They're one of the better teams around year in and year out. I would say keep an eye on the Maury Commodores out of Norfolk. For many, many years, Jack Baker, the legendary figure for Maury, an Old Dominion alum, 700-plus wins. And then a few years ago, he turned it over to Brandon Plummer, who brought home a state championship to the Commodores. And right now, his team is undefeated going into their matchup on Friday night. And we got a chance to catch up with Coach Plummer last weekend at the VirginiaPreps.com Basketball Classic, a signature win, if you will, beating the Miller School with a host of Division I prospects. Let's give that a listen now on ESPN Radio 94.1. All right, I'm here with Brandon Plummer. He's all smiles after the Commodores get the win, a hard-fought one, 54-50 over the Middle School in the 13th annual VirginiaPreps.com Basketball Classic here at Green Run High School in Virginia Beach. Coach, you've been a part of some battles when you were a player at Booker T. Walsh, and now as the head coach of the Commodores, won a state championship just a couple of years ago. This was kind of a war that you have in the playoffs. It was back and forth, nip and tuck. Neither team was up more than 6, and you guys gutted it out. How'd you pull it off?
It was all about will and determination. We knew they was a talented group, skilled group coming in here. We knew they had size. I didn't know they had that much size, though. I'm going to be honest, we knew the kid, 33, I think, is he going to Ohio?
He's going to Navy, Eli DeLauriere,
okay,
yeah. His younger brother is a ranked guy, a sophomore, Eli, yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah. So we knew he was a very skilled guy, and the rest of them. But I just told my guys, man, if y'all just go in here, it's going to be a dogfight. Got to be ready for it, They're not going to just lay down. They're not going to turn themselves over. So we got to do what we're supposed to do.
How important was it to get off to a pretty solid start? You were up 14-12 after the first quarter. You didn't let them go on a surge where you guys had to play from behind against their size and get in foul trouble. I don't think you picked up your first foul until about midway through the second quarter, so you defended with discipline today.
Yeah, we did. And as we went over the scouting report, I knew my guys, one thing I know about my guys, and I love it, that they can sit down. They can sit down and they can guard people. And we knew with some of their guys, if we just be there on the catch, they really can't take us off the dribble. So I told my guy, we just got to be solid and be disciplined on defensive end, because if you break principle, they're going to make you pay. They're going to make you pay. So my guys had to make sure, hey, we're not about to be gambling, trying to go for steals and all this type. Listen, just be solid and play the game.
He did get 20 points off of turnovers with a total of 14 steals, 6 of which were done by Adrian Newton. We'll get to your 1-2 punch of Cam Jones, Hood, and Brian Alexander in a moment. But Newton, what's he going to bring your team? Because he's sort of that unsung border bug type of guard who makes things happen.
Yeah, with him being as young as he is as a freshman, one thing I like about my point guard, he don't get rattled. And for him at that age to not get rattled, he has a bright future. He has a bright future. And he has a toughness about him that he wants to get better. He's going to keep working to get better. He listens to everything I'm trying to teach him and everything. And him being that unsung guy, I'm saying he just building more and more confidence in himself, and his teammates is helping him out a lot.
Well, I feel like you weren't discouraged about throwing a ninth grader in the fire against a bunch of D1 athletes. That's how you guys battle and go to war, right?
Yes, sir. The hardest man gonna play, the hardest working man gonna play. He ready to go.
At one point in the second or third quarter, I think it was, you turned to Cam Jones and said, I need you to guard 33. And he's about 6'2", and that guy's 6'9", and he just did it without having to complain. Is that kind of the selflessness of this team, do whatever's asked to win, and that gets you a championship, hopefully?
Yes, sir. Just lay it all on the line. If you play hard, we're going to see. One thing about it, we're trying to check your heart. We're going to see what type of really toughness you got. And 33, very good player. Can't take nothing from him. He like to play his back to the basket and everything. But we knew how, he's like to trail and shoot that jumper. We knew he couldn't take us off the dribble. But you got to sit down and really play him, because he'll drive the ball on you. So when we went with our 5 guards, Cam is a tough kid. He's a strong kid. So we figured, he can hold him.
I think it's a testament that he's the leading rebounder of this game with 11, giving up a lot of inches, and then Alexander's the leading scorer and assist guy with 18 points, 4 assists. What have you seen from their growth and maturation, given that you didn't have a season last year?
This group, they love to stay in the gym. One thing about they love to stay in the gym. It's hard for me to get them out, and they want to work. But it's just with this group, just learning how to play the game. And we spent a lot of time, even though you still can see some of the little careless errors that they make, that it should be an easy basketball play.
Yeah.
They don't have it at times, but so we just been teaching. We just teaching, player development, teaching every single day. If I got to keep going over something for 15 to 20 minutes, then that's what we're going to do, and then we'll get back to what we need to.
Sure.
But it's just a development, man.
Last one, thank you for your time. It goes without saying, but I'll bring it up, that you won a state championship a few years ago, and that state player of the year ended up going to a private school. We don't see a lot of public versus private school matchups. This one had a little bit of extra meaning for you and your program, did it not?
Yes, it did. I mean, it was personal for me. It was very personal for me. I didn't like what took place, and my kid, Clarence Rupert, hats off to him, and what he's doing in college, whatever, but it was very personal. So I really wanted to make this a statement game. I told my guys, I want this game. I don't really ask y'all for that, but this one here, I really want this game. I mean, the scout report was down to the T, and I made sure of that.
And lastly, what did you find out about your guys? I mean, you probably felt or knew coming in that you might have had the championship DNA or ingredients, but this is something you can certainly use as a springboard the rest of the district and playoff schedule.
Yeah, for sure. Because after we played last night, the game we played last night, I was not satisfied with how we played against Church. I was very upset with them, and I felt like my guys, y'all play hard against teams that is kind of talented. Every team that we play, y'all start off, put your foot on the gas, and then when you feel like a team really can't play with us, then we try slacking off and doing other things we're not supposed to. So I put emphasis on, if you're not playing hard tonight or going forward, you're going to sit. 1 through 13, you're going to sit. I don't care. So you got to be cutting towards the ball hard. You got to be sitting down playing hard. No plays off. As soon as I see it, you coming out. And you're going to sit until you get yourself together.
Commodore still unbeaten after a thriller. The superfan Daryl Holly's happy. Maury fans are happy, and thank you so much. Congrats on the win. So that was Maury head basketball coach Brandon Plummer after his team's thrilling 54-50 win over the Miller School in last Saturday's 13th annual VirginiaPreps.com basketball classic held at Green Run High in Virginia Beach. Don't forget Session 2 of the Virginia Preps Classic coming your way in 9 days on January 22nd at Lansdowne High in Virginia Beach. It is the 7-5-7 at 6, leading you up to Monarchs basketball with Old Dominion playing host to UTSA right here on ESPN Radio 94.1, and an impressive performance by Maury, getting it done against a Miller team that is tall and talented. 9 players 6'5" or taller, only one on the roster is 6'5" or bigger for Coach Plummer's Commodores, who remain undefeated. And they'll be in action coming up on Monday in the inaugural Bob Dandridge MLK Holiday Basketball Challenge. It's coming up. Now, a quick little scheduling note about this event. It has been moved to Norfolk State University's Joseph G. Eccles Hall due to a water main explosion underneath Scope in Chrysler Hall. Same game times and details. Just got that today from Claudel Clark. He's the event coordinator for this. So the games will be played coming up on Monday, Martin Luther King Day, at NSU. Named in honor of the former Norfolk State standout and Naismith Memorial Basketball Hall of Fame inductee Bob Dandridge, two-time NBA champ with the Milwaukee Bucks and the Washington Bullets. The lineup on Monday is as follows. 10 a.m. It's a Norview-Monacan girls matchup before the boys' games take center stage with 11:45 a.m. Western Branch of Chesapeake playing Menchville from Newport News. 1:30 start time for Lake Taylor out of Norfolk taking on Woodside from Newport News. 3:15 p.m. Eastern, it'll be Kickinton out of Hampton taking on the Green Run boys of Virginia Beach. Green Run back in action after its COVID pause coming up on Monday against the Warriors, 2 Class 5 schools there. Undefeated Maury taking on Class 6 Oscar Smith of Chesapeake in the 5 o'clock matchup in the Bob Dandridge Classic. And at 6:45 p.m., the nightcap with Kings Fork from Suffolk, number 1 ranked team in the area in Hampton Roads, number 2 in the state in Class 4, and Virginia Preps taking on private school power Cape Henry Collegiate out of Virginia Beach. One price, $10 ticket for all attendees. They can be purchased following the Ticketmaster website. Go to Ticketmaster.com for that coming up on Monday for the inaugural Bob Dandridge MLK Holiday Basketball Challenge. That will do it for this abbreviated installment of the 757 at 6. A reminder, I'll have the call for you this evening on our sister station, Money Talk 1310 AM, 100.9 FM, and 97.3 HD2 of the Old Dominion women's basketball team back in action for the first time in 22 days as they put their 8-game winning streak on the line against the Roadrunners of UTSA. And while I travel from San Antonio to El Paso this weekend, it'll be Chip Briere and Robbie Vogler bringing you the 7-5-7 at 6 tomorrow night. Coming up next, it's Old Dominion men's basketball as the Monarchs, hefty 11.5-point favorites tonight, play host to the University of Texas San Antonio. The voice of the Monarchs, Ted Alexander, will bring you the call alongside the ODU Sports Hall of Famer Dave Twardzik, beginning with the Toyota pregame show right here on ESPN Radio 94.1.